Hello and welcome to Nerd News, brought to you by Cult Classic Society. I am Bobby Davies. I just want to have a quick apology because this episode is a day late. We've had a bank holiday here in the UK, which means we have Monday off of work. This is the extra long bank holiday because it's Easter, and we also had Friday off of work. I have been very busy over the bank holiday. I apologise this is a little late, but as I'll get to in the second part of what I want to talk about today, that's quite a good thing because there's a little extra something to talk about that I wouldn't have had to talk about if we hadn't been delayed by one day. So first, as some of you may know, Tim and myself are big Spider-Man fans. We are Spider stans, if you will. We love the PlayStation games, we love the movies, and we really loved the Into the Spider-Verse movies. Now, the third movie has been delayed until next year, but we have been given a little short that you can watch for free on YouTube, starring our boy Miles Morales. So, Miles, for those on YouTube, I've got two Miles figurines that I love, one from the games, one from the movies. This short, 7 minutes long, it's called The Spider Within, a Spider-Verse story. We start with Miles walking through the streets of New York, Brooklyn, struggling with balancing his life as a college student, or a high school student, and as Spider-Man, struggling to get his work done, struggling with his family life, and being Spider-Man. It's all getting on top of him. And as he enters his apartment, his dad scares the crap out of him, wearing a hockey mask. This really reminded me of one of the Sideshow Bob episodes of The Simpsons, where Homer forgets that Bart is scared and wears a hockey mask and brandishes a chainsaw. Scares the crap out of Bart. This scares the crap out of Miles. But his dad is being nice. He's set up a movie marathon, a horror movie marathon for them. Miles isn't feeling it though. He kind of just wants to be alone. Got to do some processing of his thoughts. He goes into his room and his spider sense tingles, but he looks around and can't quite see why. And he just decides to forget it, throws his bag down, and we see his Spider-Man mask kind of comes out of his bag, and the eyepiece is slightly damaged, and we get a kind of clip of some of the fights he's been having recently. He gets smashed in the face by a gigantic fist. Miles decides to have a lay down and listen to his music, as he likes to do, and he starts to have those thoughts again about how his life's overwhelming him a bit. And then we kind of see what I've described as a sleep paralysis demon. It's like a shadow version of Miles that jumps into his chest and drags him through his bed into a nightmare where he's on like a freaky version of the New York subway. And as the shadow comes towards him, it kind of flashes and turns into a massive spider, and Miles freaks out. And considering he's Spider-Man, freaking out about spiders, maybe the idea is that the spider identity is the thing that's overwhelming him. Then we have another flash of black, and the spider turns into loads of little spiders. The animation is gorgeous, as it is in all the Spider-Verse stuff. The animation is stunning. Love it. And this is at the point where we get a great shot of Miles's Jordans as he backs up the train and kind of retreats from this horde of spiders, and he freaks out and they're all over him, and then he wakes up and it was a dream, but it's clear that maybe being Spider-Man or other aspects of his life are overwhelming him. He asks his dad if they can go for a walk, and they have a chat. We see them walking through Brooklyn, and Miles says how he's stressed with homework and girls, but he never obviously mentions Spider-Man. At this point, his dad clearly doesn't know that he's Spider-Man. And it fades out. Now, this is a small short. It's not very action-packed. It's more about Miles's mental state. And I think it was a really nice, beautifully animated little piece, a little taster. I feel like we're getting a couple more of these before the movie comes out next year. And I can't wait. The first two movies are brilliant. In fact, we are going to talk about them at some point. We haven't actually penciled that in yet, but we are going to talk about the first two Into the Spider-Verse movies. They are stunning, and I can't wait to talk about that. In the second part of this episode, and you know how much me and Tim love it, I am going to be talking about the latest Doctor Who trailers, or trailers if you will, which is what I said at the beginning, there was a second trailer released Sunday night. If I had been prepared, that would have had to have been out and ready Sunday night. So we get to talk about the second trailer, which we wouldn't have done had I not been late. See, it was all part of the plan. As you can see, I have my sonic screwdriver. I am ready to talk about some Doctor Who. So, first trailer came out about 2 weeks ago. We see the TARDIS crashing, flying into the unit tower, which is still looks so much like the Avengers Tower, but it's a cool addition to London. Makes UNIT feel like a big presence. They're no longer a secret. In this opening, we get a little glimpse of Rose Noble. She's clearly working with or for UNIT. We're not sure yet. We'll find out in the season, I'm sure. We get the 15th Doctor's opening line, and he bursts out the TARDIS doors into UNIT and shouts, "Give me some lovin'." I love the characterisation of the 15th Doctor already. We saw some of it in the 60th anniversary specials. He is camp. He is charismatic. He embodies what the show has been without being overtly that way. Doctor Who has always been quite camp and very charismatic and bright. And this, for the first time, I think the Doctor really encapsulates that. Ncuti Gatwa is doing an amazing job already. He's had minutes on the screen. He has captured the character of his Doctor so well already. He's also wearing a black leather coat. Really reminds me of Nine's. There's a few odes to Nine, I think, coming up, and I think that's probably not by accident. Russell T Davies wrote the original first series of the revival in 2005, starring the Ninth Doctor, Christopher Eccleston, and now he also wrote this one, which is the new season 1 under Disney Plus. And I think there are some odes to Nine that has been put in on purpose by Russell T Davies. We get some scenes that look like they continue from the Christmas special. We see Carla and Cherry Sunday in the same clothes with their Christmas decorations still up. So I think we're getting a bit of a straight continuation. Whether that picks up in the first episode or whether they come back to drop Ruby at the same point she left, I don't know. We get another great clip, which we saw in the original trailer that came after the Christmas special, of the Doctor in his 60s get-up. This should be a good episode. It's got the Beatles in it. It also looks like it has a musical number, a dance number. Now, I've gone into detail on the episodes about how I feel about dance and musical numbers in episodes of television or in movies. They have to make sense in the world. The great episode of Scrubs with a musical is because the patient was hearing everything as a musical due to a brain tumour. In the last episode of Doctor Who, in the Christmas special, the Doctor and Ruby just joined in with an established song already, and they were making it up as they go along. You could see they're uncomfortable, making the lyrics up. That made sense. So I'm hoping this has a way of making sense within the timeline, and that people don't just break out into a musical that doesn't fit. Musicals in themselves are fine because they're supposed to be musicals. It needs to fit. There needs to be reasoning behind everyone breaking into song. Otherwise, I think it's annoying. We get a great picture of the Doctor in a sand-coloured robe. Very Tatooine vibes, very Dune vibes, those kind of rustic planet sci-fi vibes. Don't know what we're getting from that. I think it's the first and only glimpse we've got of that. We get the Doctor in his Victorian / Regency outfit. There's a hologram of David Tennant just to the side of him. Looks like younger Tennant, looks like 10. We don't know what we're getting here. It could be that we're talking about the fact that 10's still around, or that Tennant's still around as 14. Could be a flashback to 10. Could be a flashback through all the Doctors. We don't know yet. We're going to have to wait and see. We're going to have to wait till May to see. At this point, we kind of get the first... It's all through the first trailer, but we use David Bowie's Changes. There's changes going on. I think that's an ode to what's happening in the Whoniverse, but I'll get to that in a second. I think not only obviously Changes is a great David Bowie song, I think that this was picked on purpose, presumably by Russell T Davies, to highlight how the Whoniverse is going to be changing. Get it? There's a joke about the butterfly effect. Ruby and the Doctor are back in prehistoric times. There are dinosaurs everywhere. Ruby says, "If I accidentally step on a butterfly, will that not change all of history?" If you're into your sci-fi, if you're into just the science of possible time travel, the butterfly effect is doing one tiny thing in the past could change the future massively. And the Doctor says, "Oh, don't be silly. Like, the Doctor's been in the past a million times, changed stuff, and nothing's really happened. Ruby accidentally steps on a butterfly, and she turns into something what I would say looks like a Silurian, half human, half Silurian, a classic Doctor Who bad guy. They're a reptilian race who live under the ground on Earth. They used to live on the surface, and then they went underground to survive the extinction of the dinosaurs and never came back up. Long story. But by standing on the butterfly, Ruby changed history. Obviously that gets changed back. We only see this brief glimpse of her as a Silurian type alien, and she gets changed back to a human. But this is the first instance of the idea that superstition and supernatural things are becoming real in the universe. The Doctor has always poo-pooed, naysayed anything supernatural. It's always got a reasoning behind it. It's always, usually aliens, but it's always science-based in the end. And since the 14th Doctor, David Tennant, in the 60th specials, has evoked superstition at the end of the universe, at the edge of the universe, should I say, it seems like superstition is coming to bite the Doctor in the arse, if you will. We get a clip of the Victorian Regency type episode. There appears to be some kind of shape-shifted aliens hiding themselves as humans. We've seen that before. We get a brief glimpse of the awesome Jinx Monsoon. They seem to be able to control music, and at some point they tie up Ruby with music. I don't know how that's going to work. I hope there's a decent logical explanation, but maybe this is to do with the Beatles episode, musical based. We'll see. We hear someone in a voiceover say, "Things seem to be turning more and more supernatural." Again, the idea that supernatural things are now becoming reality in the Whoniverse. The effects are like early Marvel, up to like the first Avengers movie. We see London in ashes, we see smoke coming through the city. There is definitely a higher budget for this. The special effects look great. There's that Disney money behind Doctor Who now, and Doctor Who's always had a charm with being able to push special effects on a low budget, but this looks phenomenal. I'm just excited to see how it looks, as well as the brilliant characterization behind the 15th Doctor with Ncuti, the brilliant writing, as it normally is, of Russell T Davies. I can't wait for this episode, for this season, but the first episode, obviously, already salivating at the idea. The Doctor promises Carla that he's going to keep Ruby safe. That's Ruby's mum. Ruby says she now understands her purpose. It's to save the world. Don't know what that's going to lead to. We'll see. There's been some odd stuff with her neighbour and the Doctor being drawn to Ruby. We also get this shot of the TARDIS covered in moss on an outcrop. Now, in one of the 60th specials, 14 predicted this. Sometimes the TARDIS has to disappear for its own safety or for the Doctor's safety, to keep it away from people who would misuse its time travel properties and its powers. And he has this idea that sometimes the TARDIS lands somewhere and is there for hundreds of years and grows over with moss, and people worship it and try to destroy it. And it looks like we're going to get something like that on this. Rusty Davis is always great at these callback moments, or he probably wrote the Tennant moment, the 14 moment, knowing that he was going to do this later with Ncuti in the next season. But the TARDIS has been left and he's covered in moss, and we're going to see what comes of that. Now, that's the end of the first trailer. We get some build-up, some nice shots at the end, but nothing of like substance to talk about. And then on Sunday just before this is released, so this is coming out on the Tuesday, 2 days ago, Sunday evening, we got a second trailer. Now, some of this trailer has repeat shots of the first one, but we do get some new stuff and some tasty stuff. I'm going to quickly go over that as well. It starts with the 15th Doctor, Ncuti Gatwa, staring straight down the barrel of the camera lens, asking, "Are you ready?" Very DX of him. Over the unit bit, we hear the Doctor say, "Stand back, we're going to rock through time." And I don't know, I assume this is to do with the Beatles episode. Very exciting, but I like the delivery of it. We have one of the characters from the Victorian Regency episode describing Ruby, and she says, "You are wild, brave and rude." And it's like, that's what we want in a companion, right? That's what all the best companions have been. Like Donna Noble, that would describe her to a T as well, and she is one of the best companions. Let's keep that going with Ruby. we see Ruby and the 15th Doctor do the zebra crossing at Abbey Road, the famous Abbey Road album cover where the four Beatles are walking across the zebra crossing on Abbey Road. They do that in their 60s get-up. We have a brief shot of some space babies who appear to be able to talk. The Doctor has a quick conversation with them. We get a couple more shots of some of the monsters, the beasties that the Doctor and Ruby are going to have to go up against. And Ruby stands before a wasteland, and the Doctor says, "This is what we are trying to stop. All of life extinguished." So this series is going to get deep straight away. A lot of the revive, especially under Russell T Davies, the culmination of a season is the possible annihilation of the Earth, of the universe, of something big, something dramatic that the Doctor and their companions have to stop. We get another shot of Jig's Monsoon, and all they say is, "You called," in the most menacing way. Just the brief glimpses of Jinx. Really look forward to it. Jinx, one of my favourites from RuPaul's Drag Race. Love Jinx Monsoon. Another great 15th Doctor line. They say, "Honey, I'm a much bigger bang than you bargained for. I will shatter this silly little battlefield into dust, in a heartbeat, into dust." Somehow, the 15th Doctor, Ncuti Gatwa, manages to be camp and menacing and brooding and intimidating and authoritative just with this one line. Like, I love that he's still calling everyone honey, and I love that he is delivering that line to villains, unnerving them. Surely it's going to be great. The 15th Doctor has the potential to be one of my favourites. You see 10th Doctor here. The 10th Doctor, probably my favourite of all time. You might say the 14th is the same. I don't know. The 10th Doctor was something special. 4 seasons, but I've got a feeling about 15. 15 is going to be amazing. We get another great 15th Doctor line here that really reminds me of the 9th Doctor. Really reminds me of season 1 of 2005, not of the original 60s run, but of 2005. The Doctor says, "I don't have my people. I don't have a home, but I have freedom." Now this is very 9th Doctor. The 9th Doctor, and then rolling into the 10th, but really reminds me of series 1 with the 9th Doctor, where he tells Rose that he doesn't have a people, he is on his own, but he is a traveller. He just wants to look around and see what the universe has to offer. He just ends up stumbling across trouble. In a way, I feel like Russell T Davies is trying to evoke that first series of the 2005 run, trying to evoke the 9th Doctor with this kind of dialogue, this kind of feel of the Doctor, of him being lonely, being on his own, but being free. And the fact that he wears a black leather jacket, very 9th Doctor. We get some nice pace shots to run up to the end of the trailer. Nothing again substantial, but nice clips, quick clips. See some nice scenery and some shots of the Doctor and Ruby and Carla, and it's going to be fucking epic. These trailers are so epic. They're really making me want to do like a full rewatch of the 8th Doctor movie right through to the 60th specials and the Christmas special. I wish I had time to do that. I might have to go and pick out a list of 10 episodes for myself, big story point episodes, the best episodes, and watch them in the lead up to the release of season 1, if we're gonna, that is what is being called now, series 1. Ncuti is unbelievably cool, and I think we really needed that. The last time a Doctor felt cool, at least to me, was the 10th Doctor. Now I know you might think the 14th Doctor, being played by the same actor, is the same. He's less kind of frenetic and energetic, and in the moment he is more older, graceful. He has kind of gotten wise with age, and I feel like he is less. He's got a different edge to the 10th Doctor. I feel like the 10th Doctor is cool, and he's kind of cool. He's cool, but in a different way, in an older way. The 11th and 13th Doctor, so Matt Smith and Jodie Whittaker, are both dorks, and I love them for it, but they are dorks. They are not cool at all. And I think the Doctor needs to be a dork sometimes too. Love that. 12 was more of a brooding old man, and I love that about him as well. He's cool in a different way. He would be cool if he's your granddad, but he's not that cool in the same way as Ncuti or 10 is. And we had the War Doctor, if you want to include him, battle scarred, very old man. the 12th Doctor, obviously Peter Capaldi. Peter Capaldi is cool as fuck, but the way his Doctor was presented was more brooding. And yeah, Ncuti just seems, there's a cool energy about him, and I really cannot wait. I am so excited about Series 1 of Doctor Who. It is coming out on May the 11th this year, and we are so close. That's next month from now, from the time of this episode coming out. Just over a month away. Oh, I'm so excited. That is it from this episode of Nerd News, brought to you by Cult Classic Society. I've been Bobby Davies. You can follow me on the socials at bdavies_creative. I am on Instagram and I am on X. My X is mostly me retweeting the work I do with Purpose Wrestling. You can follow Purpose Wrestling everywhere at Purpose Wrestling, apart from on X where we are at Wrestle Purpose. Check us out on YouTube. Loads of free wrestling matches with my lovely voice commentating on them. You'll enjoy that a lot, I'm sure. Follow Tim Martini at The Tim Martini on all the things. I think mostly Instagram and TikTok and X for Tim. And you can follow Cult Classic Society at CC Society Pod, mainly on Instagram, but we do have an X and a Reddit and a TikTok. The TikTok gets quite a lot of use as well, actually. We have a Facebook page. We are on Spotify. We are on all your major podcasting platforms. We are also on YouTube if you are watching this. If you're listening to this and you fancy watching us, go to the YouTube. If you're watching this, want a more portable version, you don't have YouTube Premium, we're on Spotify, we're on Apple Podcasts, we're on Google Podcasts, we're on Overcast. You can go listen to us there, download it, listen to us on the go. Thank you, and let us know in the comments below if you are excited about the next Spider-Verse movie, if you're excited about the new season of Doctor Who. Let's talk about it in the comments. Let's go. Thank you for listening. Allons-y.